Hey, what's up guys, Rip here. So as a YouTuber, sometimes you need to find content and sometimes the content finds you, and that's what's happening in this video. So as a lot of you are aware, there is a fact about me that brings deranged Twitter users to their knees, and it's the fact that I am a happily married man. This is my wife, Darling Straub. She does ASMR on YouTube as well as on Twitch, where she also does variety streaming. And if you want to know more about her and me as well, we recently did an interview on Rima Stream. It's a great way to learn more about us, and I'll put a link to that in the description. However, recently she has found herself under some controversy. She made a very edgy tweet yesterday that got a lot of people really upset. Now, before we look at the specific tweet, I want you to visualize and predict what it might look like based on some of the labels people have attached her because of it. Here's some of them: a Nazi, a racist, a transphobe, a predator, a Zionist, and many others. Are you ready to see what the tweet is? It's a happy 4th of July tweet celebrating America's independence. This is the tweet. She says simply, "Happy 4th of July, by the way, America rules." Now, there's two reasons why people are mad about this. Number one, a lot of people, including mostly Americans, are upset that she is proud of her country, which is insane. But the main thing people are upset about is the hat. I thought personally the most controversial thing is the ranch on pizza. That is a fact that took many years for me to accept about her, but here we are. But people are upset about the Make America Great Again hat. Now, for those who are not familiar, that is a phrase that was adopted by the Trump campaign back in the 2016 election, and ever since then it's been closely associated with conservative Americans. Now, as soon as this hat was created, people immediately started making edits of anime girls wearing this hat. It is just a silly meme people do, especially on July 4th and other American holidays, and that's exactly what my wife was going for, okay? People have been making these posts for over a decade now. That was the intent. It wasn't supposed to be some grandiose political statement. It was just a silly July 4th post. However, people on Twitter, whenever they are reminded of anything that looks like conservatives, they freak out and they call you every ist and phobe they can think of. And that's what happened in this situation. And some people try to claim that this was a 5D chess move on our behalf, that we were basically trying to create content for a video, which was definitely not the case, because that tweet was not controversial to anyone who is at all normal. In fact, the only thing that's outrageous is some of the replies that we're going to look at now in Farm for content, of course. So here's one reply saying, "Immediate unfollow. Disappointed you're a maggot." Now, in case you're not familiar with what this phrase is, it is a way to basically insult people who support this message, and they're comparing them, by the sound of it, to maggots, the insect. So this person sees my wife put a PNG on art of her VTuber model and then compares her to an insect. That's not a very good start. But also with the public announcement that they are unfollowing her account, this is not an airport. You do not have to announce your departure. I think stuff like this is so performative and ridiculous. The fact that you feel an obligation to not only unfollow over a post like that, but to publicly announce it so everyone knows you're one of the good guys is just laughable. And here's a similar post saying, "And it's a mute and unfollow for me, but can't blame you. Hog schizos are loaded with money and happy to throw it to anyone who can bear their idiocy. It's their golden age in business. Must adapt." Sir, this is a Wendy's. Okay, look at the boogeyman that they're creating. It's not even consistent. They're trying to describe these conservatives that they believe she's trying to appeal to with this post. They're being described as hog schizos who also happen to be really wealthy. Like, it doesn't really add up. Like, you've created this very twisted boogeyman in your mind that looks ridiculous. And here's another one saying the Maga Hat isn't in great taste. And a lot of users like this were trying to understand why people were so upset. So this user says, "I don't understand, it's that big of a deal? This isn't sarcasm, by the way. If someone could explain it to me, that'd be cool." And the user says this, "Yeah, it's a big deal because it's continuing the normalization of white Christian nationalism." Bro is living in an episode of Handmaid's Tale. Like, this is not the reality we are living. They have scared themselves and believe so much brainwashing info. They believe This is the reality that we're living in. Trump derangement syndrome is a very real thing, and it has melted the brains of Twitter users. Now, of course, once they would get criticized for this, they would mute the tweet like a lot of people do. But here's another one saying, America sucks. It kills a lot of people. Interesting. I didn't know America was the only country that did that. And people would say this, so does every other country, where they say, no, they don't. Yes, every country does. Your point? No, they don't. Nuh-uh. The U.S. is the only country that kills people. Trust me on that. Here's another one, calling her a pedo. Ah, yes, ladies and gentlemen, just when you thought this word couldn't be watered down anymore, it is now pedophilia when hats. The hat of consent, ladies and gentlemen. I've heard of the height of consent on Twitter and things like that. We have now reached the hat of consent. That is how crazy things have gotten. Here's another post saying, who would have guessed the wife of King Lolicon himself would be a raging conservative maggot? Now, I didn't ask for your anointment as king, but anyways, you are now saying she is a raging conservative maggot because she put a PNG hat onto an anime girl. That's the problem with Twitter. If you are not liberal and very clearly liberal, everything else to them is alt-right and a raging conservative or a Nazi or what have you. The amount of times, the thousands of times I've been called a Nazi on Twitter is insane. And when you tend to ask these people, like, what is he actually doing that represents that? And they'll name things like the fact I'm anti-censorship, or that I believe in free speech and I believe in artistic expression. You know, all those things relate greatly and are the foundation of many videos on this channel. But people on Twitter are trying to claim those are the tenets of the Nazi party. Freedom of expression. That's how deranged these people are. The words they say, they have no idea what they actually mean, and they just throw them around left and right to people they disagree with. And seeing some of the reaction to that tweet, my wife would make this follow-up post saying this, I don't talk about politics because it's not comfy and it isn't anything to do with my content. I genuinely didn't think so many people would be so upset about a silly hat PNG. I just wanted to post something cute, silly, and patriotic for July 4th because everyone knows I love the USA. The truth is, I have many opinions on many different things, some that conflict with one another too. But I won't be explaining all my views because that isn't necessary and I shouldn't have to do that. I'm just a VTuber. And this realization is what separates successful VTubers from VTweeters who are constantly sharing their political opinions. You have to understand your place on the internet and what your content is all about. For Straub, her role is to provide ASMR and be a silly cat girl on the internet. Why would people want to know her political beliefs? It would only be divisive for her audience, and it doesn't enhance what she's doing in any sort of a way. And if you want to see political opinions, there are infinite content creators out there who make their content based on sharing their political opinions. Go watch them instead. Don't expect it from someone who doesn't want to share it. So that's why she came out to clarify she wasn't trying to make any political statements. It's just a silly goof. And honestly, it's not worth all of this response from people. And having a nuanced conversation on Twitter is impossible. You can see the replies to this one. This person says, if you love the USA, you are R-worded. This one saying, not because that hat makes you a racist. See you next Tuesday. Here's another person saying, Lil Bro is going to get an alt outfit in an SS uniform talking about, I've never heard of politics in my life. I just love Germany. So in this person's mind, the next step after putting a PNG hat onto an anime girl is getting a outfit with an SS uniform. That's a bit of a stretch there, I think, right? Here's another one saying, post her avatar in a hat that represents racism, transphobia, and pedophilia. Wow, the hat of consent strikes again. It's just a silly hat. This is purposeful ignorance. It's like putting a swastika on your avatar and then claiming it's just a silly symbol.png. Either own up to it or stand by it. Again, what is with their obsession with Nazis? Everything they see and everyone who shares a different opinion to them is automatically a Nazi, and it makes them think about those sorts of things relating to it. It's very, very strange. Here's another reply saying, this is such a cop-out response. It's literally the same response that Dr. Disrespect used. That hat is synonymous with a lot of hateful rhetoric and beliefs. Even if you lived under a rock, you would know that. Using it for something cute and silly is like using a KKK hood. This person is comparing that to a PNG hat on an anime girl. And on top of that, comparing this situation to Dr. Disrespect, who was recently caught in trying to justify having inappropriate conversations with a minor, that is an absolutely ridiculous comparison. However, there are some normal people in the quotes as well. Here's a positive one saying, "Y'all, leave creators who don't want to talk about politics the F alone. There are plenty of creators ready and willing to give our takes. Ask us. Don't ask creators who aren't. Asking them is like asking Olivia Rodrigo her opinion on the Chinese-American microchip war. Pointless." And obviously in this video, we talked a lot about the negative and unhinged responses to these two posts, but overall, the response was overwhelmingly positive, okay? I think at the end of the day, we forget this is Twitter, and sometimes the loudest people are the most noticeable, but in this case, you look through the replies, most people are being completely normal, recognizing this is a silly post, celebrating the 4th of July, and even if they disagree with some elements that something like this might represent, they can still get over it because that's just a difference of opinions and they can move on with their day. But as always, you can find all of the links to her content in the description as well as that interview on Rima's stream. And I hope you guys had a good 4th of July if you celebrate. And if not, I hope you're enjoying your summer. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.